You are godlike beings, children of the divine Creator, created like unto Him, vast, powerful, and majestic. October 14, 2015. Me. Good morning, dear Jesus. Thank you very much for your last message. What do you have for me today, as I do a quick clean of the kitchen in preparation for my son's imminent arrival? And these last few days, in fact for the last week, I have felt quite upbeat, cheerful, optimistic. I'm wondering if it is just because I'm getting out and about more, being more social, or if it indicates an opening of my heart and an increasing acceptance of life as it occurs, as an indication of my increasing faith that I am on my path and therefore doing what I came to do. Because previously, although I receive and post our messages, I have felt that I'm a bit of a waste of space, a useless eater. That feeling has almost totally dissolved, and I can't help wondering if it is but a momentary upliftment of spirit, or will it last? So many of the saints and mystics I have read about have had ongoing dark nights of the soul, whereas I am truly blessed in not undergoing those kinds of deep depression. So maybe I'm just changing my attitude, my perception, and seeing things differently, as one of your lessons in ACIM, A Course in Miracles, suggests. Jesus. Good morning, John. A good visit with your son is indeed a treat for you, which you will undoubtedly enjoy. And it has given you the motivation for some tidying up around both house and garden. As you well know, I always have a message for you and for our friends, so relax a moment into listening mode, and then we can begin. And yes, your happier state of mind is as a result of your changing perceptions, and these improvements or upliftments will continue. There truly are no limits to happiness. Just keep intending and allowing your heart to open, and it most surely will, as are the hearts of so many others all across the world. Enormous change is occurring in preparation for humanity's awakening, which is ongoing right now. Be uplifted, be inspired, and share the energies that arise as a result. They are all aspects of love, your true and eternal nature. We are all one. And you are all finally accepting and agreeing to that truth, which is why there is such joy in the spiritual realms, where we can see so clearly the remarkable attitudinal changes that humanity is in the process of making with such loving intent. All humans are spiritual beings, that is, beings of pure energy, temporarily having a very limited life experience due to your choice to enclose yourselves in human bodily form. That body, while able to provide enjoyable sensations through its physical senses, is basically a shield that separates you from your true nature as beings of light. While embodied, you can choose to be unloving, uncaring, competitive, aggressive, self-seeking, and unaware of the feelings of others, or you can choose to be the opposite. The body hides your true nature from you, making it possible for you to make these kinds of choices. However, without it you can only be the fully sentient and conscious being that God created, a being of infinite love. God, love, our source, is unaware of anything that is not in complete and unchanging alignment with love, because there is nothing else to be aware of. God is all that exists, and each sentient and conscious living entity is part of and eternally one with Him. There is nothing but God. The best way to conceive of that is to try and imagine love as a field of infinite energy, far, far vaster than the enormous universe in which your tiny planet is located, and on which each of you in your minuscule human bodies resides. You are, as one with God, the only reality, vast beyond your ability to conceive of, and you then chose to experience limitation by reducing yourselves so that you could fit into the extremely limited vehicles that are your human bodies. It is really no surprise that you frequently feel extremely frustrated with your apparent smallness and consequential insignificance. To be as vast as God is, which you are because you are eternally one with Him, and to experience a life that is severely limited by your human form, and while seemingly unaware of your true nature, is an extremely confusing and most unsatisfactory state of affairs. You know that your human form is inadequate, and yet there appears to be no alternative. Most of you at some stage then start to look for the real meaning to your lives, as you tell yourselves there has to be a meaning, a much deeper and more realistic meaning than just struggling to stay alive. And of course there is. You are godlike beings, children of the divine Creator, created like unto Him, vast, powerful, and majestic, so life as a human can never satisfy you. If separation from God was possible and had happened, then your lives would be incredibly short and meaningless. But separation from the source in which all existence resides is impossible, and you are all, every single sentient being who has ever entered the illusion, perfect divine beings with infinite wisdom, infinite knowledge, and infinite creative ability, because you are one with God, who is love, in which all that exists has its eternal existence. You can never be less than God Himself, because when He created you, He endowed you with all that He is. That is a concept that is practically meaningless to you in your severely limited illusory state of existence as humans. In fact, it appears insane. So, rejoice, because what you are experiencing is utterly unreal, and you are about to awaken into reality and recognize yourselves once more as the eternal and divine beings that God, out of infinite love, created you. Love is all-encompassing, unconditionally accepting, and utterly inclusive of all, because it is all. There is nowhere except God, love, reality, heaven, paradise. Use whichever of those utterly inadequate words resonates most satisfactorily with you, or any other. And each and every one of you presently on earth, as well as all those who have preceded you or who will follow you, are eternally one with that. There are no exceptions, so cease judging others as better or worse than, and understand that every sentient being is an absolutely essential part of God, no matter what it appears they are or may be doing as humans incarnate on earth. You truly have no conception of the vastness of God, or of you, while you have chosen to limit yourselves to believing that the illusion in which you find yourselves is real. You have indeed built an extremely real-seeming environment in which to experience life as separated humans, competing constantly with one another for the goods, the benefits, and the necessities of human life. And I say to you, rejoice, because it is unreal. You will awaken because God is love, as are all of you, and He could not and would not allow you to sleep indefinitely, experiencing dreams and nightmares that terrify you. It is His joy and His will to see you awake and sharing in joy with Him in every moment, eternally fully conscious, eternally fully aware, eternally fully awake, because that is how He created you, and your apparent existence in your illusory world, with all its inevitable pain and suffering, is to be terminated as you waken into that state of infinite joy. You have free will, therefore you have complete freedom to construct and build as many illusory worlds or universes as you choose, but they will always remain unreal, illusory, because God, of whom you are all inseparable parts, is the only reality. Therefore you will awaken. Your awakening is inevitable because it is impossible to remain asleep and dreaming for more than a brief moment. When you awaken, and that moment is imminent, your joy, along with God's, will be infinite. So, every day, please, enter your inner sanctuary, that holy of holies within each one of you where the flame of divine love burns continuously, and refresh yourselves with the loving embrace that awaits you there. By doing that you move ever closer to awakening, and as you do, the energy field of love that you are expands and flows outwards to all others within the illusion, bringing them also ever closer to awakening. You are all one, utterly inseparable from one another or God, but you have forgotten this, and within the illusion that seems to be a weird concept, an insane idea that a few weirdos cling to because they are unable to cope with life and death in the real world. Well, the weirdos are those who are desperately clinging to that real world in which conflict, suffering, betrayal, and death are endemic and real. As divine beings, eternally at one with God, but apparently living long and stressful lives alone as humans, you each do have, deep within you, an inner self or space, containing intimations of the real you, where you have instant access to us in the spiritual realms. We watch over you constantly, and we constantly await any calls you may make to us, by any name you use to call on us, for assistance. We are always available. There is never a moment when you could call on us and not receive an immediate answer. Unfortunately, by the time you have called on us, you have mostly decided what the answer is that you wish to hear and you have acted upon it, and so you frequently do not hear our response to your call and believe yourselves to have been unheard. That is why practicing listening as you meditate or sit silently in that inner space is so important. You can hear us. Often you choose not to, because, having considered and judged the situation with which you need our assistance, you choose to follow a less wise course of action, and when the results are less than you had hoped for, you decide that you are indeed on your own, separated, which is an absolute impossibility, and that seeking assistance from us is useless because we obviously have either not heard you, have chosen not to respond, have misunderstood you, or do not exist. I assure you that we truly are with you in every moment, that you are never alone, abandoned, unseen, or unloved. When you experience those sensations, it is because you have chosen to shut yourselves off from love, because you fear that you are unworthy of it. As children of God, there is never a moment when you are unworthy of His infinite love for you. Go within, ask for a love squeeze, and let us show you how dearly loved you are. You need that reassurance, you are entitled to it, and we are here to give it to you. Your loving brother, Jesus. Channeled by John Smallman. johnsmallman2.wordpress.com